Ancient Olympic champions consumed 20 pounds of meat daily, lifted specialized weights that added nearly 20 inches to their jumps, and dominated through 10-month training cycles that would break modern athletes. These warriors of the ancient world achieved feats of strength and endurance that still baffle scientists today. The transformation began with the tetrad system, a 4-day training cycle that ancient coaches refined over centuries. Day 1 focused on preparation and light exercises. Day 2 demanded maximum exertion, pushing athletes to their absolute limits. Day 3 allowed for rest and recovery. Day 4 introduced moderate exercises to maintain conditioning. This cycle repeated relentlessly for 10 months straight. Athletes trained under the scorching Mediterranean sun, their bodies adapting to conditions that would hospitalize most people today. The regimen included wrestling in deep sand pits, which built explosive leg power. Runners practiced in full armor, weighing up to 70 pounds, to develop extraordinary cardiovascular capacity. Boxers wrapped their hands in leather straps embedded with metal studs, conditioning their bodies to withstand devastating impacts. Coaches called paidotribes monitored every aspect of training, adjusting diets and exercises with scientific precision that rivals modern sports science. Milo of Croton consumed 20 pounds of meat, 20 pounds of bread, and drank 18 pints of wine every single day. This wasn't reckless indulgence, but a calculated nutritional strategy that powered 6 Olympic wrestling victories and 25 Pan-Hellenic crowns. Before Milo, athletes followed modest diets centered on cheese, figs, and porridge. Milo revolutionized sports nutrition by demonstrating that extreme protein intake could build unprecedented muscle mass and strength. His daily caloric consumption exceeded 10,000 calories, fueling a body that reportedly carried a full-grown bull across the stadium at Olympia. Ancient physicians initially condemned this approach as dangerous excess. However, Milo's dominance, spanning 24 years, forced a complete reassessment of athletic nutrition. Trainers across Greece began implementing high-protein diets for strength athletes, while endurance competitors maintained lighter fare. This dietary revolution created the first specialized nutrition programs in sports history. Milo's approach proved that champions weren't born but built through strategic feeding protocols that matched their specific athletic demands. Ancient Greek athletes discovered that swinging stone or lead weights during jumps could dramatically increase their distance. These specialized implements, called halteres, weighed between 4 and 12 pounds each and transformed the long jump into a display of coordinated power. Athletes held one weight in each hand, swinging them forward during takeoff to generate additional momentum. At the peak of the jump, they thrust the weights backward, which propelled their bodies forward through the principles of physics that Greeks understood intuitively. Modern biomechanical studies confirm that skilled halters users gained between 15 and 20 inches of additional distance compared to jumping without weights. The technique demanded months of practice to master the precise timing and coordination required. Champions like Phalos of Croton allegedly achieved jumps exceeding 50 feet, distances that seem impossible until the halteres advantage is properly understood. These weights also served as strength training tools outside competition, building the shoulder, core, and leg muscles essential for explosive athletic performance. Pancration combined wrestling and boxing into a brutal combat sport where only biting and eye gouging were forbidden. Everything else remained legal, including chokes, joint breaks, and strikes to downed opponents. Fighters trained specifically to inflict maximum damage while withstanding punishment that would incapacitate untrained men. The conditioning regimen included repeatedly striking wooden posts wrapped in leather to deaden nerve endings in the hands and feet. Athletes practiced falling techniques on hard-packed earth hundreds of times daily, teaching their bodies to absorb impacts without injury. Sparring sessions often resulted in broken bones, dislocated joints, and severe lacerations that fighters learned to ignore. Champions like Aricion of Phigalia achieved legendary status by winning even as they died, strangling opponents with their final breath. The mental conditioning proved equally demanding, as pancration required fighters to remain calm while experiencing extreme pain and oxygen deprivation. Trainers subjected athletes to controlled choking to build tolerance for suffocation. This systematic brutality produced warriors capable of defeating multiple opponents in succession during festival competitions. Greek city-states operated the world's first government-funded athletic development programs, identifying promising children as young as 7 and subjecting them to systematic training that continued for decades. Athens maintained 3 major gymnasiums where citizens trained without cost, supported entirely by public funds and wealthy patrons who considered athletic excellence a civic duty. Sparta implemented an even more rigorous approach through the agog system, removing boys from their families at age 7 to begin full-time military and athletic training. These state programs provided professional coaches, medical supervision, specialized equipment, and nutritional support that private individuals could never afford. The gymnasium complexes included running tracks, wrestling grounds, bathing facilities, and lecture halls where philosophers taught alongside physical trainers. This integration of mental and physical development produced athletes who understood geometry, music, and rhetoric as thoroughly as they mastered javelin throws and sprint techniques. The system created a pipeline of elite competitors who represented their cities at the Olympic and Pythian Games, transforming athletic achievement into a measure of political power and cultural superiority that drove centuries of competitive excellence. Leonidas of Rhodes achieved what no athlete had accomplished before or since in ancient Olympic history, claiming 12 individual victories across 4 consecutive games between 164 and 152 BCE. He competed in 3 of the most demanding events: the stadion sprint of roughly 200 meters, the Diolos sprint of 400 meters, and the Hoplitodromos race run in full military armor. Winning all 3 at a single Olympics required impossible versatility, combining explosive sprinting speed with the endurance to compete multiple times within hours. His training methodology focused on progressive distance work that built both anaerobic power and aerobic capacity simultaneously. Leonidas ran interval sessions that alternated between maximum sprints and sustained moderate pacing, a technique that modern exercise science recognizes as highly effective for developing multiple energy systems. He also trained extensively in armor weighing nearly 60 pounds, which made racing without equipment feel effortless by comparison. His dominance extended across 16 years, demonstrating that ancient training methods could maintain peak performance far longer than modern athletes typically sustain elite status. Ancient Olympic champions understood that physical superiority alone could not guarantee victory. The greatest athletes mastered psychological warfare that began long before competitions started. Milo of Croton would parade through the Olympic grounds carrying a live bull on his shoulders, a display designed to shatter opponents' confidence before they ever stepped into the wrestling arena. Competitors employed elaborate pre-competition rituals that served dual purposes, focusing their own minds while unsettling rivals. Athletes sacrificed animals to specific gods, praying loudly for divine favor while ensuring opponents heard every word. Some champions arrived at Olympia months early, training publicly to demonstrate their superior conditioning and create an aura of invincibility. Theogenes of Thasos reportedly defeated opponents through reputation alone, as rivals forfeited rather than face his legendary striking power. The mental preparation included visualization techniques where athletes mentally rehearsed every movement of their events. Trainers recognized that fear could paralyze even the strongest competitor, so they developed methods to channel anxiety into aggressive focus that overwhelmed less mentally prepared opponents. Ancient Greek athletes consumed specific foods and herbal preparations that modern analysis reveals contained legitimate performance-enhancing compounds. Dried figs provided concentrated natural sugars and potassium that prevented cramping during extended competition. Athletes ate them in massive quantities before events, creating an ancient form of carbohydrate loading that sustained energy through multiple races or bouts. Coaches prescribed sesame seeds for their high oil content, which provided dense calories and supported joint health during brutal training cycles. Mushroom extracts and herbal infusions containing compounds similar to modern adaptogens helped athletes recover faster between training sessions. Honey mixed with vinegar created an electrolyte solution that prevented dehydration during summer competitions. Trainers experimented systematically with different combinations, observing which foods produce superior performance and recovery. This empirical approach to nutrition created specialized diets for different events. Sprinters consumed lighter fare, emphasizing quick-digesting carbohydrates, while wrestlers and pancration fighters maintained the heavy, meat-based protocols that built maximum muscle mass and strength. Olive oil functioned as the most versatile performance tool in the ancient athletic arsenal, serving purposes that modern athletes require multiple specialized products to achieve. Athletes coated their entire bodies in thick layers of oil before training and competition, creating a protective barrier against the intense Mediterranean sun that could cause debilitating burns and heat exhaustion. The oil regulated body temperature by allowing controlled evaporation of sweat while preventing excessive moisture loss that led to dangerous dehydration. After exercise, trainers used curved metal implements called strigils to scrape away the oil, along with accumulated dirt, dead skin, and metabolic waste products that emerged through open pores. This process provided deep tissue stimulation that increased blood flow to fatigued muscles, accelerating recovery between training sessions. Massage therapists worked fresh oil into muscle tissue to reduce inflammation and maintain flexibility that prevented the injuries which ended many athletic careers. The highest quality oils came from specific Greek regions and cost enormous sums, but elite athletes considered them essential investments in performance optimization and career longevity. Theagenes of Thasos claimed 1,400 victories during a 22-year career that spanned boxing, pancration, and long-distance running. Modern sports scientists struggle to explain how one athlete could dominate multiple disciplines requiring contradictory physical adaptations. Boxing demanded explosive power and hand speed. Pancration required grappling strength and submission techniques. Distance running needed cardiovascular endurance that typically came at the expense of muscle mass. Theagenes somehow developed all three simultaneously. Ancient records indicate he won the boxing crown at Olympia in 480 BCE, then claimed the pancration title at subsequent games. His training methodology apparently involved periodization, centuries before modern coaches formalized the concept. He would focus intensively on one discipline for months, then transition to another while maintaining base fitness in all three. His genetic advantages included unusual fast-twitch muscle fiber density, combined with exceptional oxygen processing capacity. Contemporary accounts describe his ability to fight multiple opponents consecutively without visible fatigue, suggesting mitochondrial efficiency that allowed rapid ATP regeneration between bouts. These ancient champions achieved greatness through methods that still challenge modern understanding. If this journey through history's most remarkable athletes inspired something within, hit that like button, subscribe for more untold stories, and share this with fellow history enthusiasts. The past holds lessons we're only beginning to rediscover.